Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman Miniature Games 3rd edition battle report. It's been a little while since we've done one of these because sadly I did hurt my back, so I had to take a little bit off of doing battle reports and just had to stick to shorter stuff like unboxings and whatnot. Better now. Lesson learned: if you're trying to get healthy when you've generally not been particularly healthy, like during lockdown or whatever, take rest days. People tell you to take rest days for a reason. If you don't take rest days, you will break your body. Lesson learned. Anyway, today for you we have 350 rep of a new team to the channel, the Suicide Squad versus a normal crew, with a theme around the Dark Knight Rises, more or less, of Soldiers of Fortune. So we'll take a look at both the crews / teams, go over the roles, and get started. So here is the Suicide Squad team, or Task Force X if you prefer that. Being led by, rather strangely, Captain Boomerang. I don't know why he can be a leader of a Suicide Squad. Maybe he was in the comics, I'm not too familiar. But yeah, he can be a leader, so he is. He's a cheap and cheerful leader. And with him, we have the Gotham City Sirens, Harley Quinn, and her presence also means that you can mix in some Birds of Prey and Joker themed cards, because the way team objective decks work is that for each affiliation members of the team make up, you can have 6 objective cards. We also have Diablo, who was terrible in 2nd edition, but I believe infamously he was considered the worst 2nd edition miniature. Going to see how he does in 3rd edition. From the Back to Gotham box, I guess I should specify the old Back to Gotham box because there's going to be a new one now. We have Deadshot, and then we also have Slipknot, and we have the Suicide Squad Killer Croc. So this team gets a little bit of extra funding, and they have the massive negative that if they don't score enough objectives in a given turn, one of them dies, except the leader. So I think it goes 6, 10, 12, 14 across the scores of the game, something like that. So if they don't, at the end of Battle Round 1, have 6 victory points, one of their heads is popping. Everyone else gets +1 willpower, but one of them dies. So that will be a little interesting to deal with, especially if they just get unlucky on what cards get drawn. We'll have to see. And yeah, as I say, Captain Boomerang cannot be chosen. The leader can't be chosen to be explodinated. So yeah, that's the Suicide Squad. We'll see how they do. And here is the Soldiers of Fortune crew, being led by the Dark Knight Rises Bane, the one that doesn't do Venom but is still very, very powerful in his own right, Tom Hardy Bane. He is also joined from the same box set, Basad, which has he has a good gun. And Mercenary 2, I think this is, or Mercenary 1. No, it is 2. With his little pistol. He's cheap and cheerful considering he has a gun. Then as a sidekick we have Bird, or Baird, I don't know how to pronounce it, either way, we'll just call him Bird. So he is the sidekick, he is one of the boys though, so he can count for Inspire as if he was a henchman. We also have Infiltrate Op for manipulating suspect markers with our hacking ability, and also just having a decent gun. And then from the old Bane starter box, we have Stealth Op on the left at the back there, and Dreadnought Op with the 2 axes. Soldiers of Fortune are a very, very powerful objective deck, unless they get unlucky with the draws, I suppose. So the Suicide Squad are gonna have a tough time, I think. So both crews are set up. The Suicide Squad is on your left and the Soldiers of Fortune are on your right. There is no objective cards being played in Phase 1 or Phase 2 of the first battle round. And as you can see, we have Stealth Up with Audacity, Basad, or Barsad, whatever, Bane, Bird, and then over here we have Killer Croc. Killer Croc can start the game in base to base with any sword marker, that is why he is there. Then we have Deadshot with Audacity, and Harley Quinn, and also Captain Boomerang and Slipknot on the end, who is almost certainly going to be the first one on the chopping block if the Suicide Squad need to detonate somebody's neck bomb. So with that, because there's no objective cards being played, we can just jump straight into Battle Round 1 and get started. Infiltrate Op got the game started up here. Without Audacity, she shot both out of optimal range and into the night, so she lost 3 of her dice, but she shot her modified assault rifle at Killer Croc, and all said and done, just got 1 damage through to him for not very much. However, on her turn, she also played the Global Offensive objective card, have more friendly models with the veteran trait and played in our enemy suspects, so it's just in play now. It scores at the end of the round, if that is true. Everyone except this Bane, for whatever reason. This Bane doesn't have veteran, but everyone else is a veteran, so the Suicide Squad would need to get down 6 suspect markers to stop this scoring, which is very unlikely, so that is in play now for the Soldiers of Fortune. Harley Quinn was first up for the Suicide Squad, and she moved up to the derailed monorail cart and put down a suspect marker right there. She also, during her turn, played her unique card, Joker-O-Meter. So a lot of text on this one, plus I have noticed also it doesn't specify that the effects only work on enemy models. It just says another model. That might be on purpose because Harley Quinn is crazy. I don't know. Place this card near the character card of the active model, which is Harley. Whenever another model within 4 of her rolls 2 natural results of a 1 in any roll, and isn't removed as a result of that from the game, this model is immediately placed in contact with it and performs a melee attack against it. If the attack does damage, you score. If not, discard it. So for the rest of the game, if anyone within 4 of Harley Quinn, friend or foe, rolls 2 natural 1s on any roll, so it could be an attack roll, defense roll, whatever, as long as they're not killed by it, she immediately teleports behind them and smacks them in the back of the head. And again, it does not specify enemy model, just a model. So presumably teammates count. So Bane's sidekick, which I feel like I may have accidentally called henchman earlier. I mean, he is a henchman, but he's a sidekick for the purposes of creating the crew. It's just he can count as a henchman because he has one of the boys. Either way, he didn't do anything in particular that's fancy for his role. He simply moved up to the monorail and put down a suspect marker, which you can just see there. In doing so, he has scored an easy Black Ops. A friendly model places a suspect marker within 8 inches of an enemy model that cannot draw line of sight to the model or the suspect marker. Harley Quinn's right on the other side of there. They can't see each other, but that is good enough to score that card. So the fearless leader of the Suicide Squad, Captain Boomerang, activated with Audacity. He moved up 8 inches, and then for his special action used Monitoring Device, which gives him total vision so he can see through scenery, etc., and remote controlled on his ranged attacks, meaning that he can angle the boomerangs around, which is exactly what he did. He used his bog standard throwing sharp, accurate boomerangs, which are blood stun, to fire around the monorail and smack Baird in the head. 2 hits got through for 2 blood, 2 stun in total. No cards scored though, but at least a little bit of damage done. Mercenary 2 activated without Audacity, but close enough to Bane that he had a free inspired manipulate. He moved forward to 10 inches next to Baird, and he put down a suspect marker. It is just outside of 4 of the one that he put down, and in doing so has scored another Black Ops for putting it out of line of sight, but within 8 of Captain Boomerang in this case, as the crow flies. So yeah, that's another easy score for the Soldiers of Fortune. So things aren't looking great for Slipknot's survivability, given that there's no objective cards being scored yet for the Suicide Squad, and their minimum for turn 1 is 6. So Slipknot activated without Audacity. He is quick, he moves 12, and he could have had a grapple gun if he had Audacity, but he just moved his 12 up to there, so he is now flanking the 2 Soldiers of Fortune behind the derailed cart there, but that's not going to matter unless some scoring happens. The Tomahawk wielding Dreadnought Op activated without Audacity and just moved up using the derailed cart for cover as well. Totally forgot to mention earlier, but just in case anyone thought it was done in error, Baird, whatever, I really should double check that. He has a bulletproof vest, but it did not help against Captain Boomerang because bulletproof vests only work against weapons with a firearm roll, and his boomerangs do not have that. So just I forgot to mention at the time, but that is why there was nothing taken off for that. So Killer Croc had been down there, but thanks to his amphibious role, he can go through a sewer without wasting his manipulate to do so. So he did, and has popped out all the way over here, and then he used his manipulate, because again, he doesn't need to go through a sewer, to put down a suspect marker. Barsad activated with Audacity, and I forgot how OP this guy is. He was too powerful in 2nd edition, and he's still really good in 3rd edition because he has a unlimited range firearm assault rifle, triple blood with precise aim if he doesn't move, although in this case he did move, so he lost 2 dice, but he's still rolling 2 others, and he shot at Killer Croc. Both hits got through his defense 3, and well, even if it was defense 4, I just realised he's got tough skin, which I think still applies to ranged, but it didn't matter, it was a 5 and a 6. So he took 6 blood, which is barely in view, but thanks to the 1 damage he took earlier, Killer Croc is dead. Didn't score any cards off that kill, but I don't think that circumvents the blowing up of a head bomb at the end of a turn if victory point tallies aren't met, which is very bad. Diablo was next up without Audacity, so he simply moved up to be close to Harley Quinn. Now normally when you activate him you have to do the regrets, or no regrets, roll, where you do a willpower roll, and if you fail it he isn't allowed to attack anyone because he's overcome with guilt. Doesn't matter this turn, so didn't bother because he isn't attacking anyone, but obviously in a turn in which he wants to do more or has Audacity, you'd have to do that check. But yeah, this turn, not at all. So it's over to either Bane himself or Stealth Op for the Soldiers of Fortune. Stealth Op activated with Audacity, he rushed forwards his 10 inches or so, and has also placed down a suspect marker, didn't do anything else. He has stealth, so he's relatively safe, although Deadshot might be able to get close enough depending on the direction he takes. But either way, it is just over to Deadshot to end the first turn for the Suicide Squad, and I think someone's head is basically guaranteed. In fact, yeah, it literally is. Someone's head is exploding. So Deadshot used his special action to use rapid fire, so he had +1 attack die, but he then also moved his 10 inches down and round here, which meant he was losing 2, so net loss of just 1. He shot his modified assault rifle point blank into the Stealth Op. It does double blood, single stun, so in total 2 hits got through for 4 blood, 2 stun. He's still standing, but is quite hurt. And now it's over to Tom Hardy Bane to end off battle round 1. Well, because Tom Hardy ain't afraid of nobody, he activated with Audacity, he audaciously walked up the centre field of the table and put down a suspect marker as if challenging the Suicide Squad to go try and take him on. And with that we are into the recap, scoring and head exploding part of battle round 1. So things are already looking pretty horrifically bad for the Suicide Squad at the end of battle round 1. Global Offensive has scored because it was physically impossible after a certain point for them to put down enough suspect markers to counter this, so that has scored. And then on top of that, the Soldiers of Fortune have also scored a stick to the plan for having more suspect markers in play than the Suicide Squad. They have many more. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 to Suicide Squad's 2. So on that note also, the Suicide Squad scored 0 in that turn. They need to score 10 in the next one to stop this happening again. But poor Slipknot, he is being punished by Amanda Waller. His head has exploded and he is dead. So the top of turn 2 is looking like this, and it will be the Suicide Squad getting first activation. There's only 4 of them left, so all of them have Audacity, and they are playing a Phase 1 card. They're playing Let's Dance. A friendly model with the leader sidekick of free agent rank suffers damage from an enemy action this round. Harley is a sidekick, everyone else is a free agent, so if any of them take damage this turn, that's them on the scoreboard for 2. Soldiers of Fortune are playing nothing. Stealth Op is not getting Audacity because he's so close to death. Bane has Audacity, Dreadnought Op has it, Bird has it, and Barsad has it. And all the everyone who had stun has healed 1 as well, which I forgot to mention during the recount phase. So, let's get stuck into battle round 2, where things have to turn around for the Suicide Squad, or their own off-site help is going to murder them all. So taking a bit of a risk with first activation, Diablo activated and passed his regret roll, because I mean if you get out of battle round 1 scoring literally 0, you might as well start taking chances. So that means he was allowed to attack this turn. So he went over here. Oh sorry, I also forgot to mention with Slipknot exploding, everyone else is +1 willpower now. He went over here and then he threw fireballs, which count as throwing weapons, into the back of the Stealth Op. They do 1 blood each. He's within 8, plus he actually is eliminated, and I forgot about that. Did 2 blood, that is enough that he's been removed, and finally, the Suicide Squad is on the scoreboard for a dirty job for killing a model for 1 victory point, only 9 more to go to stop someone else dying. So Bane activated with Audacity, he moved over to Diablo, not caring about the Let's Dance in play, used 2 effort, Diablo also used 2 effort to cancel those extra hits, but this Bane is obviously a close combat master. He re-rolls failed attack rolls, he does double stun. He did a casual 12 stun damage, so Diablo has been knocked out twice over, and that also scored for the Soldiers of Fortune a Search and Destroy for scoring at least 2 hits during an action where it performed 2 efforts. But for the Soldiers of Fortune, for the Suicide Squad, the Let's Dance scored, so that is 2 more points on the board, 7 more to go. So Harley Quinn activated, and she was standing there. She tore around the corner. She has more than enough movement. She's like 14 inches in total to go into hand-to-hand combat with Bird. I keep on doing that. I want my Bird from Iron Man 2. His name is Bird. She exerted 2 effort on the first strike against him. She only did 4, which was not enough to knock him out, so she used her special action as another attack, which she's allowed to do, and that just did 2 because the strength die got through, but that was enough to KO Bird, so he will not be getting a turn, and score $1 million shot. Make an enemy model with the leader, sidekick, or free agent rank, KO, or remove it as a casualty. Oh no, it's with a ranged attack! Never mind, she did not score this, it's with a ranged attack specifically. In that case, that's going back in the hand, and she is scoring a 1 point just for KOing a model with Dirty Job. So Dreadnought Op with Audacity activated next. However, just to cover, when Harley whiffed some of those hits on the second hit that hit Bird, it did actually score a hard point. A friendly model within 8 of another friendly model with the veteran trait cancels at least 2 successful hits. So Bird is right next to him. He cancelled at least 2 on both of those attacks to him, so either way that did score. Not connected to the activation, just forgot to mention it. So anyway, Dreadnought Op was hereish. He charged into the unconscious Diablo. He attacked him. I just realised also there should be additional blood damage here because he's knocked out. It doesn't matter because, like, with the damage done here, he was already knocked out, so each hit, which was, well, I think he's 1 blood, 1 stun, yeah, so it was 5 hits went through in total, so that would have been 5 extra damage. So either way, Diablo has been annihilated, and he will not be the head exploding at the end of a turn, failsafe, and that scored a They Must Know Pain for the Soldiers of Fortune as well. And if anything can be said that is true, the Suicide Squad is certainly experiencing pain. Captain Boomerang activated, ended up staying exactly where he was. He used monitoring device so he could have total vision remote control, and then he threw the last of his basic boomerangs around or over, whichever you prefer, to hit the unconscious Bird. 3 hits all got through for 3 blood, 3 stun, but because he's unconscious, each hit does an extra blood, like what just happened with Diablo, so that's 3 blood on top of that as well, meaning that Bird is dead, and correctly, finally, the $1 million shot can score because that is with a ranged attack. So that is 3 on the board. I still don't think they're at 10, but they're getting a little bit closer with still Deadshot to go. So finally something didn't go the Soldiers of Fortune's way with Infiltrate Op up here, shooting down at Deadshot all the way down here, whiffed entirely, so did nothing. However, during her turn, another global offensive was played, so if at the end of the turn there's more friendly models in play with Veteran than there are enemy suspect markers, there's still 3 or 2, let's see, 1, 2, there's only 2 suspect markers on this field, and there's still 4 or 5 models with Veteran, so I think they're still doing fine with that almost certainly being a score. Deadshot activated, and from where he was standing he could see Bane, so he shot his modified rifle. I think that was the last of his ammo, not quite sure. Either way, he did really well against Bane. Didn't shoot at Dreadnought Op, because he has light armor, but either way, did 3 hits through for 6 blood, 3 stun. This Bane also had 2 stun already on him. He's still standing though because he's 8-8, I think, so he has 2 health left. And then Deadshot did a move action over here, scored no card, needed to score a 3 there I think to avoid a head being popped. But either way, it's over to Barsad to end battle round 2 in what's probably going to be a very quick match. Barsad activated, and all he did was move over with his 10 inches to the suspect marker that Killer Croc had placed down on the previous turn, and he revealed it to remove it from the table. And that does take us to the end of the battle round for some scoring and head exploding. So at the end of battle round 2 there is a phase 4 card being played by the Soldiers of Fortune. It's another stick to the plan, they're just getting all the cards they need. That's 2 points. They also score the global offensive for 3, that's another 5. Ridiculously. And the Suicide Squad scored nothing else, which means they only scored 7 in total and they needed a total of 10. Captain Boomerang can't be chosen as the target, so Harley Quinn's head has just popped, and with that we are going into battle round 3 with only 2 of them surviving. So this is how things are looking at the top of battle round 3, which is, this might end up being the last battle round, honestly, one way or another, with the 2 surviving Suicide Squad members, of course, having Audacity. They are getting first turn, so you know, there's that. And there is one phase 1 card being played. It is a classic, it's the Die Hard one. It's being played on Barsad, so as long as he lives till the end of the turn, there is going to be 2 more victory points for the pile that the Soldiers of Fortune have accrued. I believe the total Suicide Squad need to get to for this turn is 14? 12 or, yeah, I think it's 14 and then 16 in the final turn. Otherwise, Deadshot's head is forfeit. So Deadshot activated. He was out of rifle ammo, but he had plenty of pistol ammo, well, 2 pistol ammo, and he shot rounds of it into Bane for 3 hits for 3 blood, 3 stun, much more than was required to finish Bane off with the damage he took last turn, and it scored for an amazing 1 victory point, another dirty job for removing a model as a casualty. Oh, forgot to mention, Deadshot then retreated into this little alleyway here to hide so he doesn't get murdered by someone prior to Amanda Waller taking the honours. Dreadnought Op activated with Audacity. He peeled around the corner into Captain Boomerang. He exerted 2 effort, so did Captain Boomerang, but it was still a blood stun weapon going through. 3 hits for 3 blood, 3 stun. Captain Boomerang is conscious with 1 willpower remaining. He still has 3 health though, I think. Yeah, he's 6/6. But that did score another Search and Destroy for Soldiers of Fortune, because he scored at least 2 hits during action where he exerted 2 effort. So it is over to Captain Boomerang to end the turn already for Suicide Squad, unless he passes, I suppose. So Captain Boomerang walked around Dreadnought Op, revealed his own suspect marker to make it become a valuable commodities, so it becomes loot, and he is now holding loot. So if this does manage to go the distance, which isn't super likely, it might be 3 victory points scored at the end of the game. And this is the final point at which you can actually play this. You're not allowed to play it after round 3, but it is battle round 3. So we can actually cover the final 2 activations for the Soldiers of Fortune for battle round 3. Barsad just walked down and put down a suspect marker just to keep the numbers up. And then Mercenary 2, who was behind the train here, he walked around here. He was shooting and getting 1 die removed for cover and 2 dice for moving and shooting his pistol. But the 1 hit he rolled still got through on Captain Boomerang for 1 blood, 1 stun. He's alive, but he is knocked out because of accumulated stun damage, so he dropped the loot, although it's probably not going to matter either way. But yeah, the loot is on the floor, and at the end of his turn, which is now, Deadshot's head explodes. It's because Captain Boomerang is still technically alive, so it just comes down to whether or not he's going to get a turn in the last turn, and if he doesn't, we're just going to call it, because he's just going to get beaten to death by Dreadnought Op anyway. So his willpower is 6. Let's see if he will wake up. No, that's 8. So he isn't getting a turn, so we're just going to concede as the Suicide Squad for an embarrassing first showing with... Well, we'll talk about what went wrong in a moment once we count up the final scores. We'll count Die Hard as scoring for the Soldiers of Fortune. Viable Commodities does not score. Yeah, this was a wash. So probably one of yeah, it will be. It'll be the most embarrassing first showing for a new crew/team on the channel. Was it entirely their fault? There was a lot of bad luck with cards appearing in hand, being low scoring, and whatever else. But let's quickly just add this up. So 1, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that really it? Did I miss a card there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They scored 8? And I know the Soldiers of Fortune are tough to beat. This pile of cards should imply that. But 8? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's actually relatively low for the Soldiers of Fortune. But yeah, where did it all go wrong for the Suicide Squad? Amanda Waller killing everyone is pretty bad. I think the initial starting hand wasn't great. Turn 2 could have been better. They were sitting on a couple of Birds of Prey cards for having more models inside enemy deployment than enemies themselves. But of course, Infiltrate Op just decided to sit still, and Barsad forgot how good he was just taking out Killer Croc in a turn with his triple blood accurate firearm, or whatever's on it. Either way, his triple blood is always deadly. So they were up against a very tough team, but that doesn't really... I think there was some fundamental problems with the forming of the deck. Get rid of the Birds of Prey cards, maybe even bring in some more generic ones. The Joker ones that were drawn were okay. Some of the better ones were just deeper in the deck that didn't get drawn, sadly. Couldn't mill them out. Or even good generic ones like a Die Hard early would be perfect. But yeah, and because the Soldiers of Fortune were also playing the Put Down Suspect Markers game, the Suicide Squad couldn't keep up because for Audacity, and because they're a team, they don't have henchmen, so they can't inspire to put down more suspect markers to beat the rush. And that's a problem with the teams in general. if they have to do it. That's why the Batman Who Laughs team is pretty good, because they don't really need to care if they've got many or any suspect markers down compared to the opponent's amounts. But Soldiers of Fortune capitalise on it totally, with a mixture of the stick to the plans and global offensives just all scoring super easily. So, not just the Suicide Squad's fault, a little bit of bad luck going up against a very strong opponent crew. But yeah, not a great showing. I blame Captain Boomerang. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. There will be an unboxing. Well, maybe it's already went up. I don't know. It's on its way as I'm recording this, but this takes a little bit longer to edit. So you might have already seen it, but the new releases from Night Models, I'll be doing an unboxing on that. And of course, looking forward to next month, when they are finally releasing a massive objective card box with new decks and all the old ones included as well. So the Court of Owls, Penguin, Organised Crime, Cobra Cult, all the unknown characters, they're all getting their objective cards, and that will add a much needed injection of variety. And there's a new smaller starter set coming out for people to get introduced to the game, which is also great. I've also been totally forgetting to mention for quite a long time now, but a UK retailer called the Top Hatted Hamster has given a discount code to the channel. I'm not affiliated with them, nor am I being paid for my time or anything like that. If you use the code, I don't get anything, but if you look in the description box below, you'll find a link to their store with a code you can use to get some money off your order. Finally, remember to actually say it on video, although I wish I said it at the start rather than the end. Either way, what strategies work for the Suicide Squad in 3rd edition? Share your wisdom. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Ta-ta for now.